Right. So my name is Bijan Shakibkoo, everyone. I am a co-founder and managing partner of SNS Law Group. Our primary practice areas is anywhere within the real estate and business law realm. I do handle a lot of landlord-tenant disputes. Majority of them do entail evictions and habitability issues and whatnot. But today, mainly what we're going to be speaking about, and I'll get into this overview of it, is allowable rent increases for properties located in unincorporated LA County. So I'm aware that a lot of people were excited and thought, oh, maybe we can increase our rents more in the LA city. But unfortunately, that is not the case. This only applies to the increases that are allowable under the unincorporated LA County. And what I tell my clients a lot of the time is, really the best way they could figure out whether if they are in unincorporated LA County is just pretty much looking at the cities. So if the city is situated, for example, in Gardena, yeah, Gardena will be in LA County, but Gardena is its own incorporated city. So it won't fall under its unincorporated LA County jurisdiction. And we're going to be diving deeper into what is the rent stabilization ordinance and the tenant ordinance for the unincorporated LA County. And there's two types. There's fully covered and partially covered units. Under the unincorporated LA Los Angeles County, and it's short for RSTPO. So if you hear that, just know that it falls under the unincorporated Los Angeles County. And a lot of the times, and I tell my clients all the time, if you want to brush up on the law, or if you want to have any questions for the laws and how the fully covered and partially covered units really work, and if you don't call my firm and you want to just speak to someone in the county, you can always call its Department of Business and Consumer Affairs. And they have a website, and they also have a local number that you could call them and ask any questions as far as increases and whatnot. But the RSTPO was really enacted in 2020. And the real purpose behind it is two reasons. One is it sets a rent cap limit. And the other reason is the just cause eviction. And I'm sure we're all aware of what the just cause is. And obviously you have to have cause now in order to evict your tenant. So it's not just a simple, hey, here's a 30-day notice and we want to terminate the tenancy. So the RSTPO applies to the following real properties. And what I just spoke about a little bit earlier, it breaks down to two prongs. One is a fully covered and one is a partially covered. And I'm going to be talking about what is a fully covered rental property. A fully covered rental unit under the RSTPO primarily focuses on multifamily. So it's 2 units or more on the same parcel. And it was built before February 1st of 1995. So that's really going to help you determine, I understand now that my property is under the unincorporated LA County, but how do I know if it's considered to sit under the rent control? And how do I know if it's fully covered or partially covered? And the way you can determine that is you figure out, okay, well, I have 2 or more units on here. And all right, the building was built before 1995 of February 1st. And again, the effects of it is the rent caps and the just cause evictions. And I'll get into what those rent caps are, and including with the new law that's passing in July 1st of 2024. So the partially covered units. Partially covered units are primarily single-family homes and condominiums, and anything that is built after 1995. So if it's a multifamily building and it's built after 1995, then it will fall under the partially covered units. And just to give you guys a little brief, this is going to be a quick discussion. There's not really much, depth to it, but I'll give a little clarity, and if there's any questions after, I'll be happy to answer. And there is no rent cap applicable for these partial covered units. However, you do have to keep in mind of the Statewide Rent Control Act, which is AB 1482. And now we're going to get into a little bit of the rent increases. So under a fully covered property, starting July 1st of 2024, you could raise your tenant's rent at a cap of 4.275%. And that's with the simple 30-day notice to change the terms of the tenancy to increase the rent. Pretty straightforward here, nothing really complex. And keep in mind, the LA City doesn't really have this, but the county unincorporated does, and they consider certain units luxury units. And if you have a fully covered rental unit in the unincorporated LA County, and it's a luxury unit, then you could increase it. You won't be capped. The cap will be at 10%. You will be capped. The cap will be at 10%, but you won't be capped at that 4.275. And to determine whether if you do have a luxury unit in the unincorporated rent control of LA County, it has to be 2 or less bedrooms. The unit is located in a building that is 25 or more units. And then also, as if the lease agreement, not really the lease, but as of September 2018, the rent was at least $4,000. So if you have a tenant who is paying at least $4,000 in a 1 bedroom or less, and it's in a building that's 25 or more units, then you're capped at that 10%. And it's funny because it kind of coincides with the Tenant Protection Act. And that's why I always, let my clients know, it's very important to be able to determine where your property is situated in order for you to determine how you can increase the rents and what kind of, power you have as far as evictions and whatnot. Under a partially covered unit, increases are permitted. So what we spoke about earlier, it's single family homes or condominiums. And there is no cap for a partially covered unit. However, I do want to keep you guys in mind about the TPA, the AB 1482. So always keep that in mind. But under the Los Angeles County Rent Stabilization Ordinance, if it's a single family home, which is a partially covered unit, then it's unlimited, the increase that you can make. Obviously, we want to cap that at once a year, but the amount that you can increase there is no cap. And again, keep that in mind, the AB 1482. And the types of notices that are required, if it's more than that 10%, you issue them a 90-day notice. If it's less than the 10%, then you issue them a 30-day notice. And that's pretty much it. We'll take any questions and see where it goes.